Welcome to Court of Protection Briefs. Let's talk about sex. The ability to engage in sexual relations is a human right, and in deciding how and when and whether to take that right away, and yes, they can take it away, the Court of Protection has made some very complex and possibly confused rulings. Do I understand them completely? Luckily for me, this isn't the place for a detailed discussion of all the important cases. I will take you through some of the important principles that have been established. The first of which, as with all capacity, is that P is assumed to have capacity for sexual relations unless and until it can be shown otherwise. Next comes the core requirements. The person has to be able to understand, retain, use or weigh the relevant information, in this case, whether to engage in sexual relations, and then be able to communicate the decision. So what do we mean by capacity to engage in sexual relations? Well, this isn't about a physical capacity. Whether or not someone is physically capable of engaging in copulation is a different issue, which highlights a key principle of the Court of Protection, one that is too often forgotten. While principles are developed in case law and followed, every case must be treated on its own facts and merits. The line of cases relating to capacity for sexual relations started with cases about sex in marriage and developed from there. Something the court has always been very keen to underline is that it's not in the business of forcing someone to have sex. This is about whether they're able to make their own decisions or not. The question of capacity for sexual relations is linked to another area of capacity, that of contact. There's another COP Briefs video about that. The fact they are separate capacities can create legal and practical challenges. What if you were deemed to have capacity for sexual relations, but lack capacity for contact? If your rights are limited in relation to meeting and spending time with people, that is going to affect your ability to have an intimate relationship with the person or people you are not free to meet and spend time with on your own terms. Capacity for sexual relations is going to rest on an ability to process the information relevant to having sex, a full understanding of the risks and consequences, a full understanding of consent and ongoing consent. In the area of sex, the court has gone so far as to say that it is necessary to consider how far the person is able to judge the consequences of their actions and also protect unknown people who the person might want to have sex with in the future. It is difficult to reconcile all of this with the requirement that people in the Court of Protection are not set a higher bar than those who are considered to have capacity. That also brings in the issue of sex workers. The court doesn't take a view on vulnerable or disabled people using sex workers per se, but if a care worker or deputy has to be involved in any way in organising it, it's not possible because that would raise the possibility of a criminal offence by the care staff or deputy, which has the effect of treating the vulnerable and disabled differently to those able to make their own arrangements. An enduring discussion in the Court of Protection that has not been fully resolved is whether capacity for sex should be considered act-specific, whether it should be considered in terms of the mechanics with any potential partner, or whether it should be person-specific sex with a particular person. The leading case, which set out the principles the court now follows, has said that the relevant information may include the following: the sexual nature and character of the act, including the mechanics, the fact the other person must have capacity to consent and must in fact consent before and throughout, the fact that P themselves can say yes or no and is able to decide to give or withhold consent, that a consequence of sex between a man and a woman is that the woman may become pregnant, that there are health risks, including sexually transmitted diseases, and that these can be reduced by condom use. The case involved a young man deemed not to have capacity to engage in sexual relations because it was not clear he understood that his partner needed to give consent throughout. It's a complicated and, in my view, not wholly resolved judgment. I'll include a link so you can get a sense of the court's approach. That's it for this video from Court of Protection Briefs on capacity to enter into sexual relations. Subscribe or watch out for the next video from Court of Protection Briefs.